Hello. Today I want to show you how I would solve this particular variables and conditionals challenge. That was what you had to do for it last week. So all you got to do for this, it's basically a temperature converter. You want to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to Celsius. So we'll need some variables for that. We're going to have to ask the user which one they want. And then we got to, based on their choice, convert either Celsius to Fahrenheit and take the number they want to convert, or Fahrenheit to Celsius, and then add an extra if, else if thing to say something extra depending on whether the temperature is in certain ranges. Here are the formulas for how to calculate Fahrenheit if you have Celsius and how to calculate Celsius if you have Fahrenheit, and integer division will come up. So let's talk about this. So if we go to our thing, I've got it started already. So we got 3 steps. We got to do kind of our initial variable setup. We're going to want like a scanner. Scanner input equals new scanner. And we're going to take it from system.in. All this is in your little data pages. So you can do that. And then I'm also going to make 2 doubles. So I'm going to make a Celsius one. I might just start it at 0. I'll make a Fahrenheit one. Start that at 0. We'll mess with that. And I'm just going to mess with them as we go. Because I've got requirements for what, basically things only exist inside the curly brackets they're created in. So if I go from these 2 variables back to the most recent open bracket, these guys will exist throughout my entire main method. Whereas if I declared them inside my if statement here, after I decided converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, Celsius to Fahrenheit, I wouldn't be able to use them in later if statements unless they were inside here. I'll give you an example of why. So it's helpful to declare them here and then just change them later, just because of this idea of scope. Anyway, so after we've prompted the user, remember this \t is just a tab, so it looks nice. So after I've done this, I've got a scanner, I've got some variables set up to hold my Celsius and Fahrenheit temperatures. I got to figure out if we want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a char. You could use a string if you prefer. I'm going to call it choice because I like to call it choice. And I'm going to use input dot next dot charat 0. Again, something just on your formula sheet. It just grabs the first letter they type in. And then I'll do a little if statement. So if, remember if statements are always in kind of this form. So make sure you got this structure because I've been seeing some vagueness here. So you got if, smooth brackets around your condition. If your condition is true, it happens. If not, it doesn't. And then your curly brackets surround the stuff you want to have happen if this condition is true. And else if, exactly the same. It's got to be right next to the end bracket from an if or an else if. So it's got to come immediately after that. And then aside from that, exactly the same. This only gets checked if this if was false. And then, yeah, just put some condition in there. And if this condition is true and this guy wasn't, it'll do whatever's in these brackets. And else happens if the ifs and else ifs it's connected to, were both false. Like if all their conditions are false. So in this case, I want to check that their choice, which is a letter, is equal to a lowercase a, or their choice is equal to, remember 2 equal signs to check things are equal, to an uppercase a. I need to put the single quotes around it so the computer knows that A is not a variable, it's a char. Single quotes around a letter or symbol indicate that it's a char or character. If I wanted to work with strings, I'd have to use, like if I change this to a string, I'd have to use choice dot equals, and then double quotes for a string, and I've got to use this dot equals method rather than equals equals. So you could use that either as a string or a char. Alternatively, you could represent it with numbers. I don't care, pick something. No. Anyway, so if I want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, I'm gonna get maybe, they're gonna have to enter Fahrenheit. So I'll have a little thing saying enter the temperature in Fahrenheit. And then I'll get it. I'm gonna make my Fahrenheit variable equal to input dot next double. And then I'm gonna print out the answer. So I'm gonna say sout, maybe Fahrenheit. Remember, every time I'm gluing like a variable to just a string, I need a plus sign in between them. So I'm gonna say, hey, Fahrenheit, this many degrees Fahrenheit, hopefully I'm spelling it right, is, I gotta calculate the Celsius, I haven't done that yet. So Celsius is equal to my formula. So if I go to this, Celsius is 5/9 times the Fahrenheit minus 32. Now I'm gonna add a little error here. So you'd think this would be good. I'm just doing 5 divided by 9 times Fahrenheit minus 32, though IntelliJ is noticing that something's a little funny here. I need my plus. You don't have to do anything this fancy. You can just print out the number. I don't really care. All right, why don't we test this out quick, just so I can show you the error. So the error is right here. No matter what I put in for Fahrenheit, it's going to end up being 0. So I'm going to be a little ridiculous and just say, hey, what's the temperature? I want to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. And my temperature in Fahrenheit is like a stupid number. 0 degrees Celsius, I'm pretty sure that's not true. Something is going on. And the trick is, anytime you got integer division, like math is done left to right, barring brackets and BEDMAS. Like it works kind of like your calculator. If things have the same order of operations, like division and multiplication, it'll go left to right. So this is the thing the computer does first. It's just looking at this. It's not looking at any other part of the equation. And 5 divided by 9 is 0.55555. But it looks at 5, it's like it's got no decimal. It's an int. And it looks at 9 and it says it's got no decimal. It's an int. So you must want the answer to this as an int. But an int can't hold a decimal. So instead of 0.55555, if I want that as an integer, it's not going to round, it's just going to chop off the decimal, and this becomes 0. So all of this is 0. And easy ways to fix that are, honestly, you could just move this afterwards, because Fahrenheit is a double, and a double times, or an int is just a double. Another easy way is just make it into a double. If you add a point, it reads this as a double, and a double divided by an int is a double. You could cast it. That would also do it, and we could do either of those things with the 9 as well. So that's one thing I'm testing for. So try to be careful with it, because notice it can cause some issues. Notice when I do it now, I'm going to get a very different number. Like if I do the same thing and enter a really big number, I'm not going to get 0. Like I'm getting a huge number. All right, so that's that one. That's handled. We're good to go. I'm going to be cheeky and just copy and paste. Because it's very, very similar. I'm going to check if my choice is equal to a B, or my choice is equal to an uppercase B. If so, I'm going to get them to enter the temperature in Celsius. I'm going to make Celsius equal to the next thing they put in. And then I'm going to switch this around. So Fahrenheit is equal to 9 divided by 5. Notice I'm going to keep my point in there so I don't have any integer division problems, because this could cause it as well, times Fahrenheit plus 32. If you're like, I don't know that, Mr. Bosdet, I'm never going to expect you to know it. It's right here. 9 over 5 times Celsius plus 32. Oh, sorry, this is Celsius. And then I'll just reverse this. So many Celsius is so many degrees Fahrenheit. All right. So we got all that handled. It's doing that, and at this point, the reason I declared these guys up here, we'll also say like, just kind of not an option, just for fun. So the reason I declared Celsius and Fahrenheit up here, where their most recent open bracket is here, is I can now access them later. Like if I do another if statement down here, if I want to check Celsius is equal to 5 here, that's no problem. I can just check it. However, let's say I declared something in here. I did double Celsius 2. If that was in an if statement, this guy only exists inside the curly brackets it's created in. The most recent open bracket is this guy, so it only exists between here and here. As soon as the code reaches this end bracket, this Celsius 2 ceases to exist. So if I tried to do Celsius 2 equals 5, this is red because Celsius 2 doesn't exist anymore. At this point in the code, Celsius 2 is not a thing. It's created right here, but only exists inside the curly brackets it's created in. That's called scope, and so that's why I declared them up here, where their most recent open bracket is this guy, so they will continue to exist until there. Anyway, I don't actually need a Celsius 2, so I'll get rid of that guy. And the things I want to check for, my little test you're good with if statements and ands and ors, are I want it to say comfortable if it's between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius. So there's no direct between way, but I can combine two checks. Say it's greater than or equal to 15 and Celsius is less than or equal to 25. I'm going to say comfortable. So the way we do that is if Celsius is greater than or equal to 15 and Celsius is less than or equal to 25, then I'm just going to say comfortable. You can make it more elaborate if you want. Notice everything on either side of an and or an or has to be a complete true-false idea. I can't do this. This is not a thing. This is how we'd say it in English. Celsius is greater than or equal to 15 and less than or equal to 25, but I can't do that because then this thing on this side of the and statement is not a full true-false idea on its own. It needs to be able to stand on its own. So either side, we need to say Celsius twice. On either side of the and, you need a full true-false idea. Anyway, other ones we're supposed to do are tropical if it's between 30 and 38, and that sounds terrible if it's less than minus 40 or greater than plus 40. We can do a little else if. Celsius is greater than or equal to 30 and our Celsius temperature is less than or equal to 38. Say, oh, that sounds nice. That's tropical. Again, complete, full, true, false idea on either side of the and between the two of them, we have bound this only triggers if the number is between 30 and 38. And I'll throw in another else if. If my Celsius temperature is less than negative 40 or my Celsius temperature is greater than a plus 40, that is terrible. That is not a good temperature. I don't want to be in that. Terrible. And that's how you do it. So remember, tricks you should be able to do. One, you should just be able to do math with it. It's basically like your calculator after the equal sign. You got some variable you want to mess with, and then an equal sign. Like I want to change Fahrenheit, so it equals. And then all this junk is basically exactly like you put in your calculator. It uses BEDMAS. You can throw in variables in there. And that's just equal to whatever it was last set to. You do have to be careful if you've got an int divided by an int, it's going to round. So now instead of this being 1.8, which 9 divided by 5 usually is, it would just be 1 because it just chops off the 0.8 after the decimal. So careful with your integer division. Be able to use ORs, single quotes around chars, double quotes around strings. Have some vague idea on scope. Things only exist inside the curly brackets they're created in. If you're starting to get red variables where you don't think they should be red, it's probably a scope thing. So careful with that. And be able to use ands and ors to combine true-false ideas into a bigger true-false idea that accomplishes what you want. In this case, Celsius is in the range from 15 to 25. Or in this, it's less than 40 or greater than positive 40. Hope this helped. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.